Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Katarina. Today's video is going to be my third update for my Pantat palette for 2023. Today I'm filming wearing this really minimal makeup look. I'm not wearing any eyeshadow. I think this is the first time ever that I'm filming a Pantat palette update without wearing any eyeshadow, and that's because I have been sick. And by sick I mean that I have some sort of a stomach flu. However, I am filming on Sunday, April 2nd, and if I don't film today, the next chance will be next weekend, and then we are already so far in April that I didn't want to wait filming this update until then. So that's why I decided to film today, but I'm sure you can understand that I'm not feeling too well and I didn't feel like doing any fancy makeup today. Let's get into it. I think this is a really good update, probably the best so far. So this year I am panning my beloved Too Faced Chocolate Bar eyeshadow palette. This is my oldest palette. This is also my favorite palette, but because it's so old, it's time to pan it for this year and then put it away. So yeah, let me show you where I was last month with my palette. And this is what the palette is looking like right now. So I'm sure you can see that I was able to finish my first shade out of the palette. So Strawberry Bonbon from here. And I hope you can see that I was also able to hit pan on the shade Creme Brulee here. Since this is the third update and the first quarter of the year has now gone by, I do want to talk about all of the shades, because usually I only talk about the shades where I do have progress. So let's start from Gilded Ganache. This is one of my least used shades this year. I have used it maybe a couple of times, but it's not my favorite shade from the palette. I don't like the color that much and I don't really like the formula. It's really similar formula to Black Forest Truffle and Candied Violet, where it is that chunky shimmer, and it's just not that good. Also, this is a brown that has clearly like an olivey undertone to it, which I might enjoy here and there, but typically on my everyday basis I do prefer my browns to be browns without any green in there. So I don't think using this one as an eyeshadow and hitting pan that way would be really realistic. So I thought that from now on, if I'm doing like a golden toned eyeshadow look, on that case I will try to wear this one as my liner. Recently I have been wearing Triple Fudge as my liner, but I think this one will work great as a liner, because although it's shimmery and it has that green undertone to it, it's not that obvious that it wouldn't work as a liner. So yeah, that's my plan, because otherwise I don't think I will be able to hit pan this year. Then the shade White Chocolate I have not really worn that much this year, and that's because I have been trying to finish an eyeshadow that lives in my Build Your Own palette, and once that one is finished I will start working on this one, and I'm sure I will get it done this year, but I don't think I'm going to start using it yet in April, unless somewhere towards the really end of the month. Then Milk Chocolate I hit pan on in January, and I have been able to expand the pan quite a bit. It's a shade that I do wear a lot on my crease, but I don't know if it's realistic for me to finish. We'll see. I'm not mad if I don't finish it, but it's a handy shade to use on my everyday basis. I was able to hit pan on Black Forest Truffle, I believe, in February. Yes, I used it as a liner, and since then I have been using it as a liner here and there if I have gone for more like rosy toned look, but it's not really an everyday shade for me by any means. Triple Fudge is a shade that I use daily, because I do use it as my brow color. Today I created my brows just using this. I'm not even wearing any brow pencil. Recently I have been just using brow powder and I have been enjoying it a lot. So I don't know if brow pencil is that much of a necessity in my makeup collection anymore. I'm not sure. And yeah, I have totally been able to expand the pan on Triple Fudge. I had hit pan on that before this year, but I'm surprised how much the pan has expanded. That being said, there's no way I could finish this shade this year. Then Salted Caramel, I have been using it here and there, but I don't think the pan has expanded that much. And I'm not sure at all if this is a shade that I realistically could finish this year. I think it might be more realistic to finish Milk Chocolate because it's slightly more neutral. Then Marzipan is definitely a shade that I do want to finish. I have not worn it that much this year, however, from now on I think this is a shade that I will be wearing more and more. This is my favorite shade from the palette. It's this beautiful kind of like peachy pinky shimmery lid shade. I absolutely do love it, and yeah, I'm sure I can finish it during spring and summertime. I had hit pan on the shade Semi Sweet even before starting this pan palette, but I think I have been able to expand the pan a little bit. I do go for a little bit lighter toned eyeshadow looks on my everyday basis nowadays, and if in the past I would use shades as deep as Triple Fudge as my deepening shade on the outer V, now I will typically go with shade as dark as Semi Sweet. And I use less of shades like this. Like previously I would put this to my crease and use more, now I use less. So I don't think it's doable to finish the shade, but it's a handy shade to use on my everyday basis. And then the first empty shade from the palette, Strawberry Bonbon. I could never have imagined that this is the first shade that I will finish from this palette. I was actually able to finish this shade mainly using it as a blush, and in fact I am wearing it on my cheeks as my blush today. I do really like this as a blush for me because even though it's pink, it has a warmer undertone to it and it's not too dark, so you know, it's kind of subtle, so it's not that obvious, because I feel pink blush, it just doesn't look the best on me, but this one works. So yeah, that's the main way I used it. Also here and there I used it as a lid shade, and then I topped it with Champagne Truffle, but I think it looked better as a blush than as a lid shade, so that's the way I mainly used it. And I have been creating this kind of looks a lot, so almost a no makeup look. Candied Violet I was able to hit pan on in January, and since then I have not touched it, and I'm not planning to because I don't like the shade. Then Amaretto I have not used a lot at all this year. I have only used it here and there. And yeah, it's definitely going to be one of the toughest shades for me to hit pan on this palette. I would say Gilded Ganache, Amaretto and Cherry Cordial. They're going to be the most difficult ones. And what makes Amaretto challenging especially is that it is a shimmer. It's not really intense, it's not a foiled eyeshadow by any means, it's more like a satiny shimmer, but well, it could maybe work as a crease shade or as an outer V shade, but then again, Cherry Cordial is in tone really similar, so yeah, I know it's going to be a tough shade for me to hit pan on, but I hope I can do it somewhere during fall, towards the end of the year. Right now is not necessarily a season at all that I would like to wear a shade like this. Although I will say I will pick a companion palette for April, and Amaretto is a shade that potentially could go with my companion palette. I at least want to try to wear it with my companion palette to create some looks where this one would go. Then there is the shade Hazelnut. I have used it a couple of times with Creme Brulee this year, but not too much. However, I'm not worried about hitting pan on Hazelnut. I'm sure it's something that I will hit pan on somewhere during fall. Like in summer and fall I can see myself wearing like golden toned looks where I do have hazelnut on the outer part or outer corner of the lid, so I'm not worried about it. Then Creme Brulee is a new pan that I hit in March. It's a really small pan still, but it was my goal and I'm happy I reached the goal. And yeah, I have not used it since I hit pan, but I'm sure I will be able to finish it this year. Just right now is not necessarily a season when I'm that much into a golden toned eyeshadow like this, but I know during summer and fall. It's a shade that I will wear a lot, and I am sure that I will be able to finish it, but towards the end of the year. Hot chocolate I actually don't think I have used at all this year. I think I can hit pan on it, but at some point I may need to focus on it a little bit more. It's just, I would wear the shades Hazelnut and Hot Chocolate the same way. Obviously they are a little bit different. Hazelnut is warmer and Hot Chocolate is more neutral. So they do have a different vibe to them, but I would wear both of them on the outer part of my lid. So they kind of compete with each other. So for me it makes sense to first focus on Hazelnut and then on Hot Chocolate. But we are not right now in the season when I would be into darker brown eyeshadow, so that will become a little bit later, probably in the summer. Then Cherry Cordell, as I mentioned previously, is going to be one of the tougher shades for me to hit pan on. I hope I can do it. I think it might be a little bit easier than Amaretto, because this is matte, Amaretto is shimmery, but it's going to be tougher. Last but not least, the shade Champagne Truffle. This is a shade I have been using a lot during the first 3 months. It's the shade that I have been mainly using as my highlighter on my everyday basis. Today I am also wearing it as my highlighter. It works beautifully as a highlighter with the shade Strawberry Bonbon. And I am still, although Strawberry Bonbon is gone, going to keep using it as a highlighter. It's just maybe going to be a little bit more challenging right now, especially if I'm starting to feel like doing more peachy looks, for example, which I can see myself being more into. But I think if I mix this one with the Balm Marie Luminizer, for example, that is like a golden tone champagne, I will get kind of like a peachy color, so it will be really appropriate. And this is also a shade that I can wear as a topper. It would work as a topper for Marzipan, but I don't want to do it. I like Marzipan too much to put Champagne Truffle on top of it. Like, I think Champagne Truffle would almost like ruin it. And yeah, I don't want to do that. I know this might be a challenging goal. I don't know if I can hit it. But my goal for the month of April is to hit pan on Champagne Truffle. Because I have also put a single eyeshadow into my 23 in 2023, and the only way to hit pan on that eyeshadow, since it is a shimmery white, is to wear it as my highlighter. And as long as I don't have pan on Champagne Truffle is taking away the uses I could get out of that eyeshadow, and then we're also getting into the season where I'm not necessarily even into that frosty highlighter anymore. So yeah, I just want to get this pan hit and then reach for it whenever I feel like it, but not feel any pressure out of it. So yeah, the only goal that I do have for the chocolate bar for the month of April is to hit pan on Champagne Truffle. It's going to be tough. I will need to use it as my highlighter almost every day. I will need to use it as my inner corner highlighter. I will need to use it as an eyeshadow topper, but I hope I can do it. Okay, so let's move on from the Pan palette. So for some months I will pick a companion palette for my Pan palette. I didn't have one for March because I wanted to focus on my Pan palette first, but also I wanted to get use out of my Build Your Own palette. However, I will pick a companion palette for April, and I'm really excited about this. My companion palette for the month will be the Catrice, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce this, Caviar Gauche or Caviar Gauche, or I don't know what, but this is a gouache. It has kind of like some more warm rosy tones to it. I really do like these colors. It's really reflective. It's difficult to show, but it has a couple of matte shades and it has a couple of shimmery shades. So yeah, I wanted to pick this one to be my companion palette for a couple of reasons. First of all, I have not used this palette much at all. I bought this last summer and I have used it a couple of times. You can see somewhere, I think this is that kind of formula that usage shows quicker here, but also I thought that this would be a great palette to help me to achieve my goal of hitting pan on the shade Champagne Truffle, because that's my main goal, as I said, for the becoming month. And also right now I feel like wearing a little bit more lighter toned eyeshadow looks. This time of year I don't feel like wearing something super dark. I even like the looks without any eyeshadow, but wearing no eyeshadow doesn't help me with my panning goals, so I will try to wear even a light toned eyeshadow look on my daily basis, unless I'm extremely tired or sick or something. But yeah, I think the light vibes of this palette totally go with spring. I don't really have any goals for this palette, I just want to use it. And and then last but not least is going to be my Build Your Own palette. So I was supposed to switch my color story for this update video, but I wasn't feeling like choosing any eyeshadows. I'm feeling a little bit better right now, so I might pick a new color story today, this evening, or at least tomorrow I will do it. But for now I do still have here my winter color story, which I actually think might be good to have that still here. Let me show you what the palette looked like 3 months ago when we started this project and I wrote this winter seasonal Build Your Own palette into this project. And this is what the palette is looking like right now. So there are some eyeshadows where you can see some chains, but quite a few actually. But anyways, I am happy that I have been doing this seasonal Build Your Own palette. I will just say that in March I started to be quite sick of this color story. I had a goal that I wanted to use all of these shades at least once during the past month. Well, I have not done that. I have used all of the other shades in March, but what I have not used is the green eyeshadow. So here is like a dark shimmery teal, then here is a mint green, and here is like a duo chromey green. It has that red shift to it. And also the silver, by the way, I have not used during the past month. But the silver at least I used during the past 3 months. The green I have not used at all. And right now I am just not in a mood for a colorful eyeshadow, like at all. I had to force myself to use the light lilac shade, didn't really love it. I always need to force myself to create a more red look. Although now that my hair is a little bit more red, maybe I would enjoy red eyeshadow a little bit more. But yeah, I feel I'm so over of colorful eyeshadow. I know it's something a lot of people love, but for me it's not wearable on my everyday basis. On weekends I don't really care to do it. I would rather create like a nice glam look from neutral eyeshadows and then maybe wear a bolder lip or something. Also, I have been kinda over of the really cool tones that there are in this palette, like taupe and silver, so I am so ready to be able to switch up the color story. I think what I'm going for spring and summer is going to be a combination of some peachy tones and also some rosy tones. And then of course there are shades here that are part of my 23 in 2023. Also the blush is part of that project. Those shades are going to stay in this palette, but I am so ready to switch up the color story. And the new color story I will for sure have already created by the time I'm editing this video. So I will actually show you a picture of my new color story here. So yeah, that is going to be my seasonal Build Your Own palette for spring and early summer. And that was everything for my Pan palette update. I know this was a little bit longer update because I wanted to talk through all of the eyeshadows in the chocolate bar. Thank you so much for watching this video and see you on my next one. Bye bye.